Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about they came back and acted like nothing happened. So today I'm answering a question from a viewer who's, I'm assuming their ex came back, or some person that they were interested came back. They didn't really give too much context, but they said, what do you do if they come back and act like nothing happened? So it's a bit weird to me if someone started behaving like this. So let's say your ex gets back in contact with you and is talking to you like nothing happened. I find that a bit strange. They should at least say something like you would think they would at least bring it up. So you need to be very careful with this because, this person could actually be trying to manipulate you in some way, perhaps even gaslight you. Like if they're acting like nothing happened and perhaps they did something that warrants an apology and haven't yet apologized for it, and they're just expecting you to pick them back up, like picking things off, picking things back where they left off. That wouldn't sit well with me personally, because it seems like they're, especially if they needed to apologize for something. So, even if they didn't have to apologize for something, you would you would at least think that they would want to discuss it and stuff like that. It could be that they're too shy to bring it up, so obviously it depends on the context of the situation and the person. If this was your ex and you were together with them for a while, then you should know their personality. Are they shy? Do they feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about their feelings, talking about problems, issues and things? Because if that's the case, it might just be part of their personality. Or it could be that they're gaslighting you or trying to manipulate you in some way, or they're just using you. Because if someone comes back into your life, like an ex, right, and they're acting like nothing has happened, that screams to me that there's a real big issue going on with them. So that's my thought on that. So, for example, this is obviously like a completely different scenario, but it relates a little bit. When I was at school, I had a friend, right? And we were really good friends in primary school. And when we went up to secondary school, she just stopped talking to me. And she would like flat out blank me and ignore me. So I would go up to her and want to be friends and like, thinking that everything was normal, like how it was when we were in primary school. And all of a sudden she just wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't engage with me whatsoever. It was like I wasn't there, right? And then after like a few months, she started wanting to be friends with me again and acting like nothing happened, as if there was none of it, as if we didn't have that few months where we weren't speaking and where she was just blanking me, right? And she was always a bit weird with me in different ways. Not weird as in like, I don't know, like something sexual or anything like that, but she was just like weird with me. She had a weird behavior, it seemed like it was a bit like a walking on eggshells sort of situation. Like if you stepped a foot wrong or said something that, I don't know, maybe she didn't like or whatever, or you became friends with someone that she was already friends with, then she would act and start behaving this way. And then again, she would then come back and then act like nothing happened. So there was 2 times during my years in secondary school, which is from the ages of about 11 to 16. If you're in the States and you have different school ages and stuff for that, different kind of systems. So secondary school is from 11 till about 16. So yeah, that happened twice. It happened in the first year and I absolutely had no idea what I did wrong. And then the second time it happened, it was because I think I had made friends with some of the same friends that she had. And then after a few months, she became my friend again. But again, it was like she never really clearly told me why she kept on doing that and why that kind of thing kept on repeating. She kind of admitted it a little bit, saying, oh yeah, I'm sorry about like in year 7 and I'm sorry about in year 10 or whatever it was, and that was my fault. But she never really said to me why, right? I just didn't get it, right? So it's weird because obviously she had the same sort of thing, that she would come back and be my friend as if nothing had happened, as if there was no time like that. And it was a situation where she was a bit of a strange character and I didn't quite get her. I'm sure she's fine and normal or whatever, but for whatever reason there was something going on with our dynamic that didn't sit well with her for some reason. And that's just what happened. I don't know why. So sometimes it can be one of those situations where you don't really know why they behaved that way. But it's definitely something that didn't sit well with me, and I wasn't really that enthusiastic, shall we say, to continue the friendship. And to, after like school had finished and stuff. I think I stayed in contact with her for like about a year after school, but then it sort of just fizzled out, and I wasn't really that enthusiastic in keeping the friendship alive because of what happened in the past, which was a shame because I considered her for a while like my best friend. So it's one of those things. So you might not ever know why they're like that, but something that you might just need to do is ask them. Ask them like, oh, can we talk about the breakup? Can we talk about what happened between the months that we were not together? Or can we talk about the situation? Because it's just making me feel uncomfortable that you've just come back and mentioned nothing, as if nothing had happened. It might be a good idea to actually bring that up, considering you don't know, and it might be the case that she's just ashamed or she's shy or something like that, because I don't know who this person is. But if she is quite extroverted, then perhaps she is acting in a way that's really immature, or maybe even narcissistic, manipulative, and she thinks she can just come back, or he can just come back, because the gender wasn't specified, but they think that they can just come back into your life and everything will be fine because you'll just take them back or whatever, which obviously you don't want to ever give that impression across to anyone. Like, if they step out of line and it's something that's really offensive to you, and it's something that is enough for you to be like, hey, no, you cannot just come back into my life after what happened, because you did this, you said that, you behaved in this way. Sometimes it's a good idea, to write, if someone disrespects you in some way, to write a list of the many occasions that they do it. And of course they might always deny it anyway, but if you've got a good solid list of all the stuff that they've done, you can say it to them. Of course they might try and gaslight you and say, oh, that type of thing never happened. But at least then you've got your list, right, of things that they've done. So sometimes it's good to have a list like that of times when people have disrespected you, so you've got a good argument for not being receptive to them coming back and things like that. So that's just another tip there for you. But it wouldn't sit well with me if this was my situation, and I personally don't think I would be interested in taking this person back. But obviously it depends on the person, depends on on your situation, on their personality, because I don't know who this person's personality was. So it could be the fact that they're just shy and feel uncomfortable, but it also could be that they are trying to manipulate you and think they can just walk back into your life whenever they feel like it, which obviously you don't want to give that impression, and you don't want to allow back people into your life without, them apologizing for what they've done, or, them trying to make amends in some way. So that's something else to consider. So obviously you want to be very careful bringing this person back into your life. What I say to people is, when they've gone for a breakup and they're considering going back with their ex and things like that, I tell them to take a good, hard look at your previous relationship with them. Think about the months leading up to the breakup or the split. Think about those times. Don't look back on the relationship with nostalgia. Think about the last couple of months, where typically when people are about to break up, there's usually a lot of arguments. There's usually a lot of lonely times, actually. Sometimes it can be two different ways. Sometimes it can be really argumentative and there's a lot of tears and things like that. It's very fiery before the breakup. Or sometimes it can be very lonely and isolating. So let's say you two start spending more and more time apart from each other. Let's say you're doing more hours because you kind of want to avoid being around them, or they're taking on more hours at work, or you're just not communicating. Let's say if it was a long distance thing, you hadn't communicated in weeks, things like that. Sometimes it's either it's in your face and there's a lot of explosions going off, emotional explosions, or there's a lot of loneliness and silence and just feeling like you're growing apart. So you need to think back on your relationship and see what was going on and whether or not it's actually a good idea to get back with this person. Because usually when two people get back together, they don't stay together very long. And the reason why that is because they both discover that the same things, the same issues are still there. Sometimes it can be a couple of months before they come back to that conclusion, because, after, you get back together, you have great breakup sex, get back together sex or whatever. Things like seem better than before because you're back together and everything feels good and you're enjoying each other again. But eventually the old habits come back and it goes downhill again very, very fast. And usually that's when the final breakup happens and you stay apart forever. But at least then, if you were the one that got dumped, then you at least can break it off on your terms instead of if you got dumped, then they probably broke up with you first. So if you do get back together and you want to try it out, if you notice that those things, crop back up and they haven't changed and things haven't gotten better, after a few months, after like the initial get back together phase, new honeymoon phase has come back, and you realize things are just the same as they once were, then at least then you can break it off on your terms rather than their terms. Okay? But with this person, I would be very, 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 very cautious. Very cautious indeed. But obviously, it depends on who they are. You know them better than what I do. So, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye.